People ask me, Wiley, you old dog, how come you wound up working in the Forest Service? And I shrug and say, you got me. I guess I must have this thing for trees. And they laugh, of course, but it's true. I'll stack up any tree you choose against any person when it comes to common sense, perseverance, hospitality, generosity, dependability, and manners. Beech, walnut, pine, maple, cherry, ash, sycamore, hickory. These are fine, upstanding members of the planet. A credit to creation, if you ask me. Can most folks say the same? Generally speaking, we suffer by comparison. We are humbled by our wooden friends. I think it's because trees have roots, and people have lost theirs. Trees are sensible and reliable, not all hither and yon. Every tree stands for something. I can't conceive of a deceitful tree. George Washington learned his honesty from a cherry tree, and the cherry tree in blossom is still the best reason to visit the city that bears his name. I tend to think favorably of any town that names its streets after trees. And if there was an election tomorrow for any office from sheriff to president, I'd vote for a scraggly hawthorn or a stalwart oak over any candidate you'd care to put up, not to mention these fellers actually running. A sweet gum, a dogwood, or a sassafras, now there's leadership we could use. And when people ask me, Wiley, how come you left the service and went out on your own, gave up all those benefits? I guess my answer would be that I'd just been around those trees too dang long. It's hard not to finally be persuaded by that much down-to-earth practicality. It took years and years for the lesson to penetrate this thick old skull, but it finally did sink in, the proper way to be. What my former job boiled down to was picking up trash and litter, directing traffic, showing movies about chipmunks, snakes, toads, and frogs, and telling people to keep the noise down, stop drinking, surrender their firearms, and put their doggone clothes back on. Stuff and nonsense. I was little more than a truant officer, and I got more than a little fed up and tired of telling grown-up people to stop behaving like spoiled, bratty kids. And in all those years, I never once did have to reprimand a tree. And too, there was that uniform. That doggone thing itched all winter. I looked like a plum fool in the shorts come summer, and that goofy hat, I'd had enough of that too, the whole year round. So I went independent, and now they only call me in when they've got a case that's just too tough for them to crack on their own. They call me the Red Adair of the national parks, and though he's mostly forgotten by the modern generation, I'm honored to be compared to the likes of that gentleman. He was a regular tree of a man. Tough cases? I got a call one day from the boys over near the Zico Ridge by the disputed basin near Mystic Falls. You probably know the spot. It's real popular with skiers, hikers, and tourists. I flew up, rented a CJ7, and drove to the park, where they directed me to the campsite. Former campsite, that is. It was all torn up, a terrible mess. 10 in tatters, like it had been hit by a tornado, except there were bear tracks all over in the dirt, and blood on some of the ripped-up clothes, a shirt and trousers, and a shredded pair of Fruit of the Loom that was painful to see. The boys had it figured for a grizzly attack, but they weren't sure. That's why they called me in. By the time I got there, though, they talked themselves into it. They had it all figured out. They had measured those tracks and reconstructed that old bear in all its full ferocious fury from the size of its foot, which looked from the prints to be considerable. They had a monster stomping around, a killer grizz weighing in at well over a ton and topping out around 10 feet tall, teeth and claws and one great big ugly disposition, not to mention a hellacious appetite and a taste for man. Yes, sir, they had everything on that bear except an artist's rendition and a social security number. Me, I wasn't so sure myself.